So recently I just started to rewatch Bleach, and as I continue on my journey, I'm reminded every day that this story is way more funny than I remember it. I mean, truly, from the beginning of the story, every single day that Ichigo has is just one full of ridiculousness and adventure. I mean, the entire reason he becomes a Soul Reaper is because a Soul Reaper breaks into his house, beats him up, and then decides to give him all of their power so that he can now be a Soul Reaper. And in the last episode, we explained how that just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense from Ichigo's perspective, nor would it make sense from the perspective of a civilian that Ichigo is saving. Like, imagine if you are just being attacked by a ghost in the middle of the city, and then this guy shows up saying he's gonna save you from danger, and he introduces himself as a substitute Soul Reaper. I don't know how you guys would feel, but I think I would ask more questions like, okay, I don't know what a Soul Reaper is, but I think I want more than a substitute. And Ichigo's so funny because every chance he gets to remind everyone that he's just a substitute Soul Reaper, oh, he takes that chance. Like, Ichigo just shows up every time like, oof, tough tits, dude. Yeah, you got me this time. Sorry, it could have been anybody. But you got me. We're still gonna get you out of this, don't worry, but just, you know, if anyone else would have showed up, this would have been a way more smooth experience, that's all I'm saying. So at this point in the story, Ichigo is basically Danny Phantom. He's running around his city fighting ghosts whenever he can. And the whole time Rukia is there ready to tell him what he's doing wrong at every chance she gets. She is also there to help Ichigo on this whole Soul Reaper journey. Which is why one day she decides to go to the ghost drugstore and pick up something that'll help Ichigo with his secret identity. Now what Rukia picks up from the ghost drugstore is a pill that's inside of this Pez dispenser, and when Ichigo eats this pill, a substitute soul takes over control of Ichigo's body, leaving him free to go ghost and take off into the city and fight whatever hollow that he needs to. So while a hollow is attacking the city, Rukia drags Ichigo outside of the class and shows him the substitute soul pill, basically. And as soon as the substitute soul goes into Ichigo's body, he starts saying shit like, "What's up? Ichigo here. The early bird gets the worm. That's my motto." And Ichigo freaks out like, I would never say that. What is it? He's gonna go interact with all the people I know? Nonsense. Stop this. Like, Ichigo is freaking out and Rukia is like, I mean, you know, he's got the whatever, it seems fine to me. So Rukia drags Ichigo off, kicking and screaming. The whole time, the substitute soul that is in Ichigo's body is looking off just with a sinister smile like, yeah, I'm about to ruin all your chances with the hose. And Ichigo's like, what? Did you hear what he just said? Wait a minute, no, turn around. But saving the city comes first, so Ichigo and Rukia take off into the city. Ichigo deals with the hollow, but something's bugging him, all right? He really did not like the way that his body was smiling back at him, so he just starts running back to his classroom. And it's a good thing that he did, because when Ichigo gets back, he sees the soul that's inside of his body just ruining all of the chances with the women inside of his classroom. He is macking on everybody, literally all of them. No one is safe. He even kisses a few of them like he's Pepe Le Pew. So Ichigo goes in the classroom and he's like, hey, knock it off. What are you doing? And the spirit inside his body is like, shut up, dummy, this is my body now. Yeah. And so the spirit that's possessing Ichigo's body starts whooping his ass in front of all of these women in his classroom. The only saving grace is that none of them can actually see Ichigo since he's in his ghost form. But this isn't really a saving grace, because what all of the women inside Ichigo's class do see is what appears to be Ichigo going crazy, karate kicking the air for absolutely no reason. Like, from their perspective, Ichigo is either having a stroke or just the most imaginative episode of autistic delusion that they've ever seen. Like the type of shit that will put Toto Aoi to shame. Speaking of JJK, the spirit inside Ichigo's body is whooping his ass like Sukuna whoops everybody's ass in that show. And then when the spirit's done, he just jumps out of the window and just takes off into the night. And in the middle of all this, another hollow is attacking the city. So Ichigo's like, oh my god, all right, fine, I'll go. So Ichigo and Rukia take off to go try to deal with the hollow. And when they get there, they see none other than the spirit that's inhabiting Ichigo's body fighting the hollow just so recklessly. Like, absolutely no regard, he's just throwing Ichigo's body at it. So Ichigo runs up and defeats the hollow and saves the day, and that's when he finally corners the spirit inside his body like, listen man, what are you doing? So this is when the spirit that's been possessing Ichigo's body introduces himself as Kon, and this is when he explains what he really is. You see, Kon is a mod soul, which is a soul that the Soul Society created with the express purpose of defeating hollows, but it turns out that this guy was actually defective, and it creates this really sad philosophical argument of what does it mean to live, and does Kon deserve to live, and you know, blah 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 blah. Ichigo's like, get out of my body. So while Kon is explaining what he is and how he doesn't actually want to hurt anybody, the manager of the ghost drugstore, Kisuke, he shows up and then immediately takes out Kon and basically clears up the entire situation. Oh man, you must have got a mod soul. That's crazy, dude. Who the hell are you? Rukia must not have said anything about me. That's all right. A word of advice, though. Don't go messing around with these mod souls, man. They're really crazy. But if you need any spirit molly, I got you covered. Spirit molly? What the hell's that? What? You don't know about Spirit Molly, man? God, I love Spirit Molly. One dose and your spirit ribbons turn a crazy rainbow tie-dye color. It's insane. Anyway, if you need anything, I'll be at the shop. Just give me a holler whenever you need to re-up. What the hell? Guys, before we continue with the video, we need to talk about today's sponsor, which is Flexispot. And I love Flexispot so much. They've been a long-standing supporter of this channel. They've sent me a couple desks before, and as a matter of fact, they just sent me a new one. And that was this desk, the L-shaped Flexispot corner desk. And as usual with Flexispot, this desk comes with some pretty amazing features. For starters, let's go ahead and get the obvious out of the way. It's in the shape of an L, so that's just even more room for activities. I mean, right now there's just my laptop on it, but when I get more stuff and more activities, it's definitely gonna be on this desk. And as usual with Flexispot, this desk also comes with dual motors for quiet and stable height adjustments. And to adjust the height, of course, you'd be using the multifunctional panel, which lets you save and preset your favorite height adjustments, and also has some nifty charging ports in there if you need them. Now, before I show you how high this desk can go, I want to also emphasize that the maximum weight capacity of this desk is 177 pounds, which is incredible. Again, more room and weight capacity for your activities. And to test this out, I climbed on board and took myself on a little ride. So please, if you're interested and would like to support the channel, check out the link that's going to be in the description and see how you can get your hands on one of these desks yourself. A very special thank you to Flexispot for sponsoring this video, and an equally special thank you to you for watching this video. And with that, we are back to the show. So that situation is resolved, but like I said, literally every single day that Ichigo wakes up, something crazy happens. And as a matter of fact, the very next day, all of his friends in class are going to an on-site filming of an episode of Spirit Hunter. Now, Spirit Hunter is this ghost hunting show in the world of Bleach, and apparently it follows this guy named Don Kanonji. He just runs around basically trying to catch ghosts, and this guy's pretty much just the Mr. Satan of the Bleach universe. And as we continue, you'll see why. But on this particular night, Don Kanonji is hosting a show right in front of an abandoned hospital. Don Kanonji says that there's a spiritual force here, and he intends to exorcise the spirit. Now, Ichigo and all of his friends are there, so when Ichigo is there, he notices that there is in fact a spiritual disturbance here, but it isn't a hollow, thank God. It is, however, a demi-hollow, which Rukia explains is a ghost that's in the process of becoming a hollow, but that process itself should take about 6 months. And right as Rukia finishes explaining this to Ichigo, Ichigo watches as Don Kanonji just starts ferociously stabbing the hole inside the demi-hollow's chest, accelerating the process that would make him a hollow. Come on, get going, get out of here, go on now. Ichigo's watching along horrified, like, Rukia, what is he doing? And Rukia is like, you have to stop him. He's about to make that guy a hollow. He's about to make this a lot worse for everybody here. So Ichigo's like, son of a bitch. All right, fine. And he just starts charging in, but the crowd stops him because they're filming a live show. So Ichigo and Rukia watch along in horror as this guy basically just creates a hollow right before their eyes. And after this is over, even though everybody can't see the hollow, they still know that something very scary has happened. They hear noises, like some explosions happen. The hollow basically just retreats into the hospital. It's become a full-fledged situation now. So out of the crowd that's watching the episode be filmed, Kisuke Urahara, the ghost drugstore owner, he walks out and tells Ichigo he better get going because, this situation just got a whole lot worse. So Ichigo charges off into the hospital to stop the hollow, but also save Don Kanonji, who foolishly rushed into the hospital after the ghost. So when Ichigo catches up with Don Kanonji, Ichigo's like, listen, okay, I'm impressed that you can see me and the ghost, okay? It means you've got some semblance of spiritual pressure. That doesn't matter, though, because you just created a monster that's gonna eat people. So Ichigo's like, you gotta get out of here. Let me handle this. And Don Kanonji's like, listen, I would never run, all right? Because of the millions of children that are watching my television show. And Ichigo's just like, Cap. Okay, Cap, because, I don't care how many people are outside this hospital. I refuse to believe that children are staying up every night so they can watch you ferociously stab the air outside of an abandoned hospital and then scream, ooga booga, there's a ghost somewhere. That's not entertaining. And if they wanted ghost shenanigans, they would just watch Danny Phantom like a regular child. And so Ichigo's like, that's ridiculous, but okay, fine. If you're gonna stay here, we need a plan. And Don Kanonji's like, wow, I'm impressed. You thought that far ahead to know that we need a plan? And Ichigo's like, that's not even like a complete thought that I had. All I said was that we need a plan. It was literally the first thing that came to my mind. And Don Kanonji's just like, wow, I'm astonished. And Ichigo's like, God, please get out of here, Hercule, please. But that's when the hollow shows up and knocks Ichigo around a little bit. But right before he manages to deal a significant blow, Don Kanonji out of nowhere jumps in front and saves Ichigo, which gives Ichigo enough time to land the finishing blow, and then the hollow is defeated. Don Kanonji realizes that the hollow that's been terrorizing this abandoned hospital was actually the ghost that he was stabbing ferociously right outside the hospital, something that he should have put together a long time ago. But he has one moment of introspection about what he's been doing and how this is basically basically what he's been doing at every ghost show that he's ever been a part of, which Ichigo hears and he's just like, wait a minute, you've been creating hollows every time you film an episode? You should be in prison. But instead of introspecting any further than that, Don Kanonji says, you know what, I'm proud of you, Ichigo. I'm naming you my #1 disciple, and I'm sure we'll see each other down the road. Ichigo is furious, and he has more than a few questions, but again, Ichigo's a different shonen protagonist than like Luffy or Naruto. He doesn't really care. He's just gonna save the day in time for him to go home and play PlayStation. So that's what he does. In hindsight, I feel like he should have at least made Don Kanonji promise, you know, don't go creating more hollows now that you know what happens when you do what you just did at the hospital. Maybe don't ever do this again. Maybe Ichigo should have at least made him promise that, but no, he just goes home. He wants to play PlayStation. Final Fantasy VII just came out. Look, if I were Ichigo, I'd do the same thing. I'd still save the day. I would still save the day, but I'll be down. I could not be bothered to do the follow-up conversation after that. I'm saving the day and I'm going home. So the day is saved, but the next day, even more ridiculousness happens. In fact, this day might be the craziest Ichigo has had since he's gotten ghost powers. You see, the next day, Rukia keeps getting alerts that hollows are entering into the city, but then immediately after that, the notification just disappears, like the hollows themselves are just gone. But every time they get an alert, they still suit up and they go out to try to find the hollow. So they do that on the last notification that they get, and they actually run into one of Ichigo's classmates, which is Uryu Ushida. And when they run into this guy, they discover that he actually has the power to see and fight ghosts. And this infuriates Ichigo, like, wait a minute, you've been in my class this whole time, and you can not only see ghosts, but you can fight them? Where the hell have you been? So Ichigo is furious. He follows Uryu and he's like, no, we need to get to the bottom of this, all right? I need answers, all right? Who are you? The only answer Ichigo manages to get is that Uryu doesn't like Ichigo at all for some reason. Like, Uryu doesn't bother explaining. He just says, you know what? I hate Soul Reapers, and I think I could beat you in a duel. And so honestly, Ichigo's like, you know what? You're clearly hot for no reason, but you know, I don't like being challenged, and you don't look that strong, to be honest. So whatever, fine. You want a duel? Let's get this over with. But when I win, I need to know who you are, why you have powers, and why I haven't known about it all this time. This is when Uryu explains that the duel that he has in mind is a hollow killing contest. He plans to summon a bunch of hollows, and then Ichigo and himself will keep score of how many of them that they manage to take out. And to this, Ichigo says, that is insane. Ichigo's immediately out. Ichigo's just like, you said, a duel? This isn't a duel. This is just you summoning a bunch of monsters that will potentially eat people if we're both not on our A game. That's not fun. That's just scary. Don't do that. And to this, Uryu summons the hollows anyway, and he's like, what's the matter, Soul Reaper? Okay, are you afraid that you're not strong enough to save everybody? Ichigo's like, yes! Yeah, I got these powers last week! But Uryu doesn't care. He's got this vendetta against Soul Reapers, and he's like, well, you better hurry, Soul Reaper, because these hollows, they're going after people specifically with higher spiritual pressure. And so Ichigo freaks out because he knows that his sisters actually have some high spiritual pressure. At the very least, they can see ghosts and interact with them, which is what happened in the very first episode. The entire reason that Ichigo has these powers is because he was protecting his sisters. So he knows that if there are hollows in the city, they potentially could be going after his sisters. So he doesn't even waste the time arguing with Uryu. He curses at him, he calls him a son of a bitch, and he takes off running to go try to save his sisters. So that's when Ichigo takes off to go try to save his family. Until he runs into one of his sisters and he sees that she's actually with one of his classmates, Chad. And this is when Ichigo finds his sister and Chad, and he sees that Chad is fighting ghosts too. Ichigo's like, wait a minute, Chad. Like, Chad can definitely see the ghost enough to dodge it a little bit, okay? And even fight it a little. And then Ichigo watches as Chad's arm transforms into this red and black super arm, and then Chad knocks the hollow out. They defeat the hollow right there. Ichigo's watching all of this, and he's like, Jesus Christ, he's even got a transformation. Chad, how are you doing that? And don't you dare say it has something to do with your Mexican grandparents. Viva la Mexico. That is not gonna get you out of this, Chad. I need answers. While Ichigo is arguing with Chad, he hears that the school that they all go to, that is actually under attack as well. Son of a... Chad, listen, I gotta go keep fighting hollows. Can you help? And he's out. God, this has been a weird day. And I swear to God, if I get to the school and find out even more of my friends have powers and they didn't say anything to me, you know what? No, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Let's just go save the day and go home and play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And what happens when Ichigo goes to the school? He sees none other than Orihime, the girl in school that has a crush on him. She summons a tornado. She summons a force field, cuts a hollow in half with energy power. Ichigo's watching all of this from the sidelines like, Orihime, you too? After Orihime's very impressive display of powers that he has, he doesn't understand at all. The only thing, like, Ichigo fights ghosts, but low-key, he's just swinging a sword around. He still does not understand any of the things that are happening. And now he has to come to terms with the fact that all of his friends have powers that look way cooler than his, to be honest. Like, again, he just has a sword. That's all he has, and he's fighting ghosts with it. Meanwhile, Orihime can summon energy beams and force fields and things like that. Chad has a Mexican arm that can just defeat anybody that he needs to. It's crazy. It's all insane. So Ichigo watches Orihime pass out after using her very impressive powers, and he's just like, you know, I gotta keep fighting hollows, I guess. I'm glad you're okay, Orihime. Please, God, I hope we get more answers. I hope we can all have a little sit down after all this. So Ichigo runs into the city, defeating more hollows until he finally catches up to Uryu, and they start fighting a little bit, but they quickly realize that they are surrounded by hollows. See, this is exactly what I said would happen if you summoned all of these hollows. Wait a minute, what are you two doing just standing around over there? Help us. God, I love Spirit Molly. Why are you rolling right now? Why aren't you? Oh my God. Well, it looks like we're alone and surrounded, so we need a plan. We need to figure something out. Quick, we need to talk about our tragic backstories. What? It's the only way to get the villains to stand still in an anime. We have to open up, Ichigo. It's the only way. You're crazy. And right as Ichigo says that, a hollow lunges forward at the two. My grandfather was killed by Soul Reapers. What the? They stopped. He was my sensei, and the only ray of light I had in my life. Damn. They talking about stuff. Guess we better give them their time then. Whoa. Yeah, better let them sort this out. Seems important. It must be. They'd just be having a full-on conversation while you're about to get eaten. No, we should let them finish that. It seems only right. He was killed by Soul Reapers, Ichigo, and that's why I hate you. This is so stupid. Go on, little blonde boy. Open up to your friend. Tell him about how your mama was eaten by ghosts. Shut up. While everybody is arguing and fighting hollows, suddenly from a portal, a Minos Grande appears, which is really just a big-ass hollow. And Ichigo, tired of the nonsense and ready to play PlayStation, he rushes toward the Minos Grande and he gets swatted away easily. This is when Uryu notices that Ichigo actually has immense spiritual energy, but because he doesn't know how to use it, they're actually at a disadvantage. So he comes up with a plan. A really stupid plan. This dumbass Uryu, he starts tying Ichigo's sword to his head while he uses his bow. I guess the plan is to use some of the spiritual energy that Ichigo is not using because he doesn't know how, to make Uryu's attacks stronger. You know, I don't know. It's a really dumb, it looks stupid, to be honest. And as soon as Ichigo sees how ridiculous this looks, his shonen protagonist starts showing. He's like, you know, fuck, I'm just gonna try to punch him again. So he immediately breaks away and charges at the Minos Grande again. And Ichigo uses all of his strength and he cuts the Minos Grande and forces it to retreat. So Kisuke, the ghost drugstore owner, and Rukia are both watching on, like, impressed and also a little bit scared. And the reason that Rukia is scared is because she knows that, you know, a Minos Grande has appeared. This is gonna cause some disturbance in the Soul Society. And this is a problem because Rukia has also been keeping a secret. This entire time, like the entire story that we've covered up until this point, this has been technically a crime in the Soul Society. Like, she has been doing this illegally, which makes the fact that she gave this stranger her powers even more stupid. Like, it's a crime apparently that's really serious, and Rukia was just biding her time, I guess, until her powers return so that she can go and explain herself, maybe make up a lie for the Soul Society. But I ask again, if the crime is serious, like potentially punishable by death, the fact that you shared your powers with a human, why did you do it? And why did you give it to someone who clearly didn't want it in the first place? Just feels dumb, but Ichigo does save the day and he manages to go home and play PlayStation. So the only people that are really worried about this is Rukia. She's worried for good reason, because soon after this, a couple people from the Soul Society will show up and try to take her back to the Soul Society, which sets us on track for what many consider to be the best arc in all of Bleach, and one that I'm really excited to get into. I'm having a really good time watching Bleach again. I think I always kind of had the impression that it wasn't as good as Naruto and One Piece, but Ichigo brings his own thing to the table. And when I started looking at this like a comedy, it all started to click. Ichigo deadass, he does not want to be here. I think if we got all of the shonen protagonists in a room, like all of them, not just the big three, Ichigo would be one of the ones that's just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm in here for sure, but it's like, if you're comparing me, like if the argument was One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto, which one is the best? I think Ichigo would be like, I don't know, one of them. It's not me for sure. Like, and that's why I'm starting to appreciate his character. Like, Naruto and Luffy, they would go at it. They would both be the ones to try to fight Goku and take his spot at the top of the hill. They wouldn't succeed, but they would both try. Ichigo deadass would be like, I just want to go home. I just want to play PlayStation. And in that way, I am appreciating Ichigo just a lot more. I'm having a lot more fun watching this. But thank you for watching this video. I also want to take the time to thank my patrons over on Patreon. They're the reason that this video happened. We do a poll in the Council of Goof, and they Bleach won by a long shot. I really thought JoJo's was gonna win, but they really wanted Bleach, and I'm glad because I really enjoyed Bleach. And if you would like to join the Council of Goof and influence the videos that come onto this channel and just participate in other discussions, you know, yada, 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 consider checking out the Patreon. Link to that will be in the description. But other than that, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being interested, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.